Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome to Adventures in History. Today's topic is Tom Zuck's U.S. Civil War Letters, 1864, Part 8, Dreaming of Peace and Going Home. Cairo, Illinois, February 21st, 1864. My dear wife, I feel lonesome this morning and very impatient, and having no better way to pass the time, I concluded to write again to you. I would give anything in my power to hear from my little girl this morning. I feel sure that you would send me word if anything would happen. I wrote to you yesterday, and I now can scarcely remember what I said in that letter, for I was troubled and excited, and the thought that it might be possible that our little darling was at that time no more almost made me forget that I was a man, and for the time I did not know what to do. I've been looking for Colonel Brown for several days, and expect when he does come to go with him to the regiment. You said in your letter that some friends from Virginia were paying you a visit, but you did not say who they were or where from. I am glad that Willie has once more got home and out of the service. I would say to him that if he has any notion of re-enlisting, to take my advice and be very careful who he selects for officers under whom to enlist. I guess he has seen soldiering enough not to want to run into the thing in a hurry again. I know if I had to do it over again, I would pursue a very different course from the one I did adopt. I think it would be far more preferable to be a drafted man than a volunteer under those who hate you for being a little better informed than they. I must say nothing against my company officers, for I would subject myself to more dislike. You did not say anything in your letter about Frank, whether he was better or worse. Maybe he will be kind enough to write to me himself. What I write this morning, more particularly than anything else, is that should Nettie at any time become worse or dangerous, I would like to have you telegraph to me. But still I feel that this request is unnecessary, for she is neither now out of danger or past all human help. Yet if anything should happen, let me know, and I will try and feel satisfied. I will write when I start from Cairo. Kiss my little darling, your ever affectionate husband, Tom. Now this letter is from Anna to Tom. Marysville, Union County, Ohio, February 24th, 1864. My own dear husband, I wrote to you last week while Nettie was so sick, and I have been uneasy ever since, knowing how it would frighten you, but I did not know whether to write again or not till I should hear from you again, for I thought you had certainly left Cairo. But this very moment I have just received your 2 letters, and am now very sorry that I did not write to you on Sunday, and by this time my letter would have reached you. As yours came through in 2 days, I can only hope that the mails will carry this to you so punctual. It may perhaps reach you by Friday or Saturday at the farthest. How so you get it before you leave Cairo? For I know with the feelings you now have, you will be ill prepared to start on your journey. Still, I have an idea that Brown and Godman would stop for you this week, and of course I would much rather you would go with them than to start alone. And now to tell you all about Nettie. I called Doc Goldrick to attend her and have not regretted it in the least. I feel almost sure he saved the child. He took so much interest in her and would wait sometimes half an hour to see what change the medicine would effect. He said yesterday when I went to settle the doctor's bill that he really did not think this time last week that the child would be alive now, and he determined to do all in his power to allay the fever, for a child of her healthy, robust constitution, he said, could be taken off soon with such symptoms as she had. He pronounced it lung fever. She commenced getting better on Thursday, and Friday still improving, so that by Saturday we quit giving her medicine, and Sunday she got down off my lap and walked around, although rather weak, and played on the floor with Franklin Chapman. Sue was here all afternoon Sunday. Nettie is now while I am writing, playing with all her wonted cheerfulness as of old, with her Aunt Emma, who is staying home from school today, nursing a pet runaround or something of the kind on her finger. Nettie has just come to my side and told me to tell you that Emma has a beau named Tom Amarin, a handsome young soldier belonging to the 1st Ohio Cavalry who is home on furlough and has been gallanting her everywhere for the last 2 or 3 weeks, exchanging pictures, giving her presents, and all the usual preliminaries to a permanent engagement. I guess we shall have another son, Tom, in the family if things go all right. Send those pictures to me by all means before you leave Cairo. The girls each want one for their albums, and the rest I want for my friends, or perhaps to take to Marion, Ohio. Sue Chapman is persuading me to go in a week or so. She is going over to stay with Narcissa Culvertson a while. As soon as I get my sewing done up, I guess I will go. Frank's illness lasted about as long as Nettie's. He was sick a week. He went to Springfield, Ohio last Thursday with those young ladies who were here. They are visiting a married sister there and will probably be up to see us again before they return to Virginia. Their names were Maggie and Jenny Everhart. It was their father that Pa learned his trade with and worked in his mill for a number of years. He nearly went wild over them, so rejoiced to see them. They live about 6 miles from Harper's Ferry and have been eyewitnesses to a great part of the war. Jane was in Leesburg when the whole Southern Army under Confederate General Robert E. Lee marched in there and had a brother captain wounded in that engagement. She stayed there 2 weeks and nursed him and dressed the wounds of 9 other Federals. Oh, you just ought to hear her tell some things she has seen and passed through since this rebellion broke out. Her brother died from his wounds about a year afterwards, and they are dressed in deep mourning. They were very sweet girls, and I regretted exceedingly that I could not enjoy more of their society, but could not on account of being with Nettie. How have you disposed of your big sheets of paper? I see you have another kind. Don't lay that heavy paper aside if you have much of it, but continue to use it. I guess they have quit charging extra postage. Willie would like to hear from you. He would write some in this letter if he was here. Yours forever, Anna. Cairo, Illinois, March 31st, 1864. My dear Anna, when I wrote to you last Sunday evening, I expected ere this to have received a letter from you, but up to this time I have been disappointed, and for what reason I cannot possibly conjecture. I feel sure that you have not willfully neglected to write to me for the past 3 weeks. I know you have written to me, and your letters have failed to reach me. I would like to know whether you ever received the last money I sent to you. Still, I would not care so much about that if I could only hear from you. I am not very well, and this thing of looking after some 40 or 50 men from one week to another is not very pleasant, for you must know by this time, from what I have told you, that a hospital steward's duties are not the lightest in the world. For all he is looked upon as a rather dignified personage. Now, Anna, there is one thing I would like to speak of and see what you think of it. I am almost crazy to see you again, and I have sometimes thought that it would be real nice to have you here with me, for I have a nice room all to myself, and a darky to keep it clean and carry up my meals to me, make my bed, and look after my room generally. This is always the style in which a steward is expected to live. Now, if it was not for the long trip, I would insist upon your coming and staying a week or 2 with me. But you can do as you think best in this matter. The doctor has just come in with the mail and still no letter for me. What does it mean? Kiss my little pet for me. Look for another note from me in a day or 2. Your ever affectionate Tom. Cairo, Illinois, April 15th, 1864. My dear wife, having been waiting now for several days from mail to mail for the letter that was to bring me the saddest of news, I have at length come to the conclusion that circumstances have turned out more favorable than your last letter would give me reason to hope. We have been having some rough works just below this place for a few days past. The rebel marauder Nathan Bedford Forrest has again made his appearance along the Ohio and Mississippi rivers on the Kentucky side, and last evening the steamer Platte Valley came up from below with 60 wounded and killed from Fort Pillow. From all we can learn from the newspapers this morning, it seems that there has been a hard fight and lots of blood work going on in that quarter for the last 2 or 3 days. The stories that are afloat here in regard to the barbarities of the rebels towards our men are almost incredible, yet they are backed up by the best of witnesses. I will try to get a morning newspaper to send you. Scarcely anyone entertains a fear at this time for Cairo, yet I think if something is not soon done by our military authority to stop the mad career of the arch-fiend and his minions, much harm will be done, and the most loyal portion of Kentucky again entirely overrun and depopulated. Columbus, Kentucky, just 20 miles below this place, is entirely deserted. Most of the citizens have come up to Cairo, and I believe there is no one there now but the military and a few dilapidated darkies. We have intelligence again this morning that Paducah, 50 miles above us, has again been attacked by some of Forrest's band, but how much confidence to place in this report we scarcely know. Be that as it will, there is force enough at Paducah to hold it. Dear Anna, I hate to wind up this letter without something consoling to you, for I still feel that my worst fears in regard to your pa may yet be realized. But what can I say or do? I can only wait until I hear from you. In the meantime, I will try and think, if possible, that things will all come out right anyhow. Kiss my darling little pet for her pa, and tell her that I think of her very, very often. I will not run off from her very soon again when I get home once more. Pray for me, dear Anna, and remember I am ever your affectionate and loving husband, Tom. P.S. My dear, dear Anna, I have just closed up this letter and dropped it into the box when the doctor brought me one from you, and oh, I can't believe what you wrote can be true. It cannot be that my kind, good friend is no more. He whom I had loved as a friend and who had ever treated me as one of his own children since first I knew him. Your father, the father of my wife, and more than father of my child. Oh, Anna, how much closer this sundering of earthly ties seems to draw us. How much the sympathizing voice and heart is prized in our hours of darkest affliction. Yet this is no time to sit down and calmly fold our hands. Something must be done. You must make use of what means I send you to keep yourself, and not make so much of an effort to lay up money. I will send you every cent that I can get hold of, and I assure you I will spend nothing unnecessary. Tell your dear kind Ma that I heartily feel for her and will do all in my power when I get out of the service to help her and show that I have energy and spirit to do so. You speak about your dress. Do just as you think proper, and I assure you that I will be fully satisfied. All I have is yours, to use as your judgment dictates. But I will stop for the present. Give my love to your ma and the girls and all the rest of your family. Your ever affectionate Tom. P.S. I will write again on Sunday. Cairo, Illinois, April 22nd, 1864. My own dearest Anna, your last letter came to me yesterday, and I intended to have written last night, but circumstances unavoidable prevented. I was surprised that you had received none of the letters that I had written last week, for I wrote twice to you and once to Noni during the week, but by this time you surely have got all of them. It is curious that the folks in Marion, Ohio, take so little interest in your welfare. Yet I think they mean to do all for the best. I see you are still determined to do something yourself. Dear Anna, I love you all the more for your willingness to try and make something yourself, yet I would rather, if your means would permit, that you would live off of them. Yet as I have set myself up in opposition to everything that you have proposed so far, I will say nothing against your notions this time. Dear Anna, for my sake, do not unnecessarily expose yourself for the sake of making a little money. The notice of your father's death I will remail in this, and if you wish it, I will send the photograph also in my next letter, as I have no very good way of taking care of it. I noticed by the morning newspapers that the old 96th has been in another disastrous and bloody battle in Louisiana. As yet we have but few of the details. I will send you a newspaper containing the latest from them. For fear you will not understand, I would say that the 96th is in the 4th Division, 13th Army Corps, under the command of General Ransom. It appears to me that our regiment is destined to undergo almost everything. Don't you think so? The doctor is again offering me a furlough, and whether to take it or not I don't know. What do you think of it? Don't it look like a great expense for so short a stay? I am making this letter tedious, so I will draw it to an end. I will try and write a long letter to Emma tomorrow. And now, my dear wife, let me exhort you to be courageous in this time of trouble, and look as much as possible on the brightest side of everything. Shadows cannot always last. The bright and joyous days of love will again cast their radiance around us, and long years of happiness and content be our reward for these years of trouble, toil, and pain. The memory of departed friends, although sad to reflect on, will be made sweeter when we reflect that they have left no record behind, but that we may be proud of. I must stop. Kiss my pet, and remember that I am ever your devoted husband, Tom. Cairo, Illinois, May 30th, 1864. My own dear wife, I have just received your last letter, and the contents have given me more pain than any one letter I have ever received. My dear Anna, what shall I say to express my feelings? There is nothing that makes me feel badly so soon as to know that my dear wife is in trouble. It is only a little over 1 year now until my time will be out, and then all will be right, and we will once more be happy. Dear, dear Anna, try and arrange things so that you will get along without any further trouble until I get home, and I faithfully promise you by the great love I bear you as a husband, and by the common interest that more strongly unites us in our dear child, that no further interference in our affairs shall be permitted. Oh, Anna, it always seems to me when anything happens to cause you trouble that I ought to go right to you, and sometimes I am almost tempted to do something desperate. But you know as well as I do how helpless I am in my present circumstances. Let me advise you in one thing. I suppose you still hold that note for $1,000 against Father. Now what I would like you to do is this. Give them that money for your board for the remainder of the time that I am in the Army. That will surely recompense them for any cost that they may have on your account. And then when my time is out, God granting that I may live that long, I will take you away from Marion, Ohio. There are many better places than that sinkhole of hypocrisy and evil, places where we can live in comfort and have something to lay up besides. I will wait for you to answer this, and if you conclude to do as I have advised, I will write to Father about it. But perhaps you would rather stay with your ma. If so, it suits me just as well. You speak of keeping house by yourself again. This, Anna dear, you perhaps can do during the summer, but then when winter comes again, you will find it a very unpleasant way of living. Besides, it will be attended with a great many encumbrances and troubles that you little dream of now. I know you are either with your ma or my folks. Even if it cost us all, we can make and scrape, then know that if you are trying to live alone. My own dear Anna, it costs me many a pang to write this way. I do it simply because I love you and would advise you to the best of my knowledge. Never since I have left you have I allowed the image of anyone to intervene between my almost worshipped wife and my duty and honor as a husband. Now when anyone says or does anything that gives you pain or trouble, they make me their bitter enemy, and bitterly will they repent it if I ever am permitted to see them again. I will stop for today and write in a day or two. Kiss Nettie for me, and remember I'm your ever-loving and affectionate husband, Tom. P.S. I sent a letter containing money on the 28th. Cairo, Illinois, June 11th, 1864. My dear sweet wife, Saturday night once more finds me in Cairo, but this night does not, as in times when war and desolation had not made our fair country the home of misery, want, and bloodshed, bring visions of a happy day on the morrow when I could sit in our little home and enjoy the society of my own little family. Still, I have a strong hope that no great number of such nights will pass ere this trouble will be settled some way or other. The interference is very plain to my mind as to who will be dictators of arms. Great and stirring events will have taken place ere this summer campaign shall have ended, and oh, Anna, with what fond anticipation do I look forward to the time when I shall come home again and say to you that nothing shall ever separate us in this life. Little did I dream of the wretchedness it would cost me to be so long away from you and home. This thing of staying in a city is torture in 100 ways, for if I but step out of the house, the first thing that attracts my attention is the remarkable prosperity of the town. Then I think if I was only free to act for myself, how easily could I amass wealth at this time. But then these chances will be past by the time my time is out. If I go into any of the churches, the leading feature there that attracts attention is the general youthful appearance of the congregation. Hundreds of young men starting in life are here, while upon the arm of almost everyone leans the fond, affectionate wife. And then memory is again busy making me miserable, until I get away from those scenes that so forcibly bring to mind the comfort and enjoyment that I am denied. I tell you, dear Anna, that I have not made a half-dozen acquaintances outside this house since I have been in the town. The reason is obvious. I cannot hope to mingle with community as long as I am but a transient subject, floating about at the command of our military leaders. At any moment I may be started from this place to mingle in other scenes. In short, I have no sympathy in common with anyone. This side of my own home and fireside, there alone center all my hopes and aspirations. Anything outside is nothing to me. Oh, Anna, how I would like to spend tomorrow with you and our dear child. It seems that I forget all the past of an excess of joy and happiness. Yet, Anna, we can hope and pray for a brighter future, and so long as I am assured that you are content, I will try to look upon the fairest side of everything. Kiss my little pet for her pa, and remember that I am ever your own true loving husband, Tom. Cairo, Illinois, July 17th, 1864. My own dear Anna, I am again reminded that it is Sunday evening, and if I would have my wife be good and write me often, I must improve the occasion. Your letter, written last Sunday night, I received on Friday last, and right glad I was to get it. I confess that I was somewhat surprised to learn that Willie was again with you, and I'm really sorry that he is going away so soon, for if he could only stay until your school was out, I would feel much easier about you, for then I would know that you had one staunch friend with you all the time. I wrote Will a letter this morning and mailed it to where he is going. Poor fellow. He seems to be an unsettled life. You have never told me where you had rented your house, yet, and I am possibly soon have occasion to know, for should I ask to be sent to my regiment now, they say I will have to go to Washington, D.C. to find them. In that case, I will come through Marion, Ohio, sure. This may seem strange to you, but I will try to explain. Since the old 13th Army Troop have become so much reduced in number, it has been reorganized and consolidated into one division, and that division has been attached to the 19th Corps. The 19th has been under marching orders for some time. Nobody knew where they were going. A few days ago they were embarked on ocean steamers, and the next thing we heard from them was that they were landing at Baltimore, Maryland. I am not certain that our regiment is there, but I do know that they belong in that corps, and if they are not there now, they will be in a few days. It seems from your letter that Sue Chapman is still in Marion. I am glad of it, for I think Sue thinks a great deal of you, and will make fine company for you in your lonesome hours. So Bryant Grafton is a prisoner, is he? That must have been a hard blow for his poor wife, and still harder one for himself. God grant that he with all the rest of the suffering soldiers now in the hands of those worse than devils may soon be released from so great a misfortune by our brave boys that are now laying siege to that nest of treason, Richmond, Virginia. You may tell Mr. Bowen that I think I owe him a letter, and I will try soon to answer his letter as I should have done long ago. It has been so long since I got his letter that I am almost ashamed to write now. Give my love to all my friends. When I come home, I will tell you how much I still love my dear sweet wife, Anna. Goodbye for this time. Your ever affectionate husband, Tom. P.S. It is so awful hot tonight that I can hardly write at all. Forgive the scrawl this time. Love, and I will do better next time, Tom. Cairo, Illinois, July 21st, 1864. My dear Anna, I wrote you a letter last evening, but have been thinking so much of you and home since I received your letter that I cannot refrain from writing again. You seem to be disappointed that I had failed to get my furlough, and the same thing made me feel so miserable that I went to Dr. Taggart last evening and told him that I either wanted to go to my regiment at once or know whether he was going to let me go home as he had promised. He then told me that his intention was to let me go home in a week or two. The anticipation of the visit has made me feel so good that I could not help sitting right down and writing to you about it. I want to go home before long for the following reasons. Lieutenant Batchelder of our company was here last week and came to see me. He was on his way to the regiment, and if the regiment should still be at Baton Rouge, Louisiana, by the way, is not improbable, he will try to get an order sent up here for me. In that case, I will not get to go home if I am here. Dear Anna, you must not say anything about this to anyone, for it might not sound well, for if the lieutenant should get to hear it. Oh, how glad I will be to see my dear sweet Anna and darling little girl once more, and forget for a short time that I am a soldier, subject to the order of other men. I see that we are going to have another draft soon, and this has been a great source of gratification to me. Now that the $300 exemption clause is repealed, some of those who oppose the war will have to go and see how Johnny Reb looks in his military harness. Won't it be fun to see some of those copperheads marching to the front to receive their first warm congratulation from their friends in arms, the Rebs? You can tell Frank for me that I have answered promptly all the letters that I have received from him. If any have been written that I have not replied to, I have not received them. I will write to him in a day or two myself. I think Dr. Taggart will try to get me permanently detailed here. They are going to build a very large general hospital at this place, and he is to have sole management of it. As I have said before, I don't want to stay here if the regiment is on the Potomac River. How do our folks treat you now, dear Anna? I would have asked you before, but I felt so much hurt at them for hurting your feelings that I did not want to talk about them. My dear Anna, I here tell you and leave it in black and white that I would renounce the last relative on earth for your sake, right or wrong. They do not know how madly, wildly I love you, or they would not step between me and that which I would sacrifice 20 lives if I possessed them to defend and keep. Dear wife, I need not assure you on this point, for you know as well as I do how I feel on this subject. I am not a boy to be fooled with in this matter, and some of them will discover it to their sorrow if they ever injure you. I expect Nettie will be at home when you get this, or shortly after, and I want you to kiss my little pet for her pa. My love to all who inquire after me, and may heaven protect me and mine, and I would ask you not to forget me in your prayers, my dear wife. Your affectionate husband, Tom. To be continued. Well, that concludes today's presentation. Next time we'll continue with Tom Zuck's U.S. Civil War Letters Part 9. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.